Hello everyone, my name is Marco Landry, and today I'll be documenting the process of removing the kickstand from your Yamaha R3. I've done this on a few bikes, and I never thought of documenting the process, but I had a few people recently asking me how to remove the kickstand. So if you're interested in removing the kickstand, stay tuned and I'll show you how it's done in the next few minutes. Alright guys, welcome back. So the reason why you want to remove your kickstand is mostly if you're going on the racetrack and you're trying to reduce the weight of the bike. And the other reason as well is that quite often if you buy some aftermarket race fairings, the kickstand won't work. So you'll either have to trim the bodywork or to completely remove the kickstand. So in my case, I definitely prefer to remove the kickstand just for weight reasons, as I mentioned earlier, and also because I have raised body work, but it's also because it's annoying to have the kickstand there, and it looks much cleaner when the kickstand is not there. So removing the kickstand is not super complex. In the case of the R3, there's only 3 bolts that need to be removed. But the most critical thing that needs to be done when you remove the kickstand is to bypass the kickstand switch. And the kickstand switch is there obviously for security reason, just in case you put the kickstand down while you are riding or while the bike is in gear, it will stop the bike basically. So this is again just safety measure, and you definitely don't want that switch to be activated while you are at the racetrack. In my case, I'm just going to bypass the switch by taking the 2 wires and fusing them together. You also have the option to buy a bypass plug that will basically loop the 2 wires together. So in my opinion, it's definitely not needed. It's much easier to take those 2 wires and connect them together, and it's cheaper as well. You can see the mess of wires here. So I'm redoing the wiring on my bike. And in my case, I'm gonna not only cut the wire here, but I'm going to bring it closer to the tail of the bike so that my wiring harness is cleaner in front and smaller as well. This is a personal preference. I'll show you where it is in a few minutes and you can decide what's the best option for you. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, you have 3 bolts that need to be removed. So 1, 2, and 3 right here. And the wire that is coming from the kickstand here is the one that needs to be disabled, or bypass I should say. So if you just take this wire from here and you trace it out here, so you'll see there's a connector here, and that's the connector that needs to be disconnected. And after that, I will simply cut these 2 wires here and fuse those 2 wires together. I'm not going to do this right now. I'm going to leave it like this for a few minutes. We will remove these 3 bolts, and after that I will finish the process by soldering these 2 wires together. So in order to physically remove the kickstand, you need a 14mm socket with your wrench, and the 2 bolts here are fairly easy to remove, but the one at the top has a nut on the other side, so it goes across. So I'm going to start with this one first. And normally you don't need to put a wrench on the other side, but I'm just going to put my fingers there to make sure it's okay and it doesn't spin. Yeah, so it's fine. So this is it right now. So this is the first one here. And on the other side, it's simply a nut by itself. So we're going to put this aside for a minute, and don't discard this because you will need to reinstall it back again. And the next step is to remove the 2 bolts at the bottom. Those are 2 14mm bolts as well. And I'll just remove this one here. And the 3rd one. And obviously here you can see that I've removed my shifter. You might be able to do this work without removing the shifter, but in my case, just so that you could see properly what I'm doing, I decided to remove the shifter. So at the bottom here, you can see there's a little clip that's holding that cable or that wire in place. You should be able just to bend this little wire and pull your cable out and then bend it back into place. And that's the removal of your kickstand. Okay, so now that we are ready to reassemble that mounting bolt that goes from side to side, there's one thing you'll need to do that's very important, is that you will need to add some washers. So I'll add 2 washers on one side and 2 washers on the other side. And the reason for this is because when you look at the thickness of this plate here, it's fairly thick. So you need to be able to have the same amount of space that's going to be used by the washers as the plate for the kickstand here. Otherwise, the threads here are not long enough and you won't be able to secure that bolt properly. So very, very important that you have 2 extra washers on each side, or if you have something that's thicker that will correspond to that size here, that will match that size or the thickness of this plate here, then you can use that. But in my case, I'm going to put 2 washers on each side. And I'm going to put the 2 washers on the other side with the nut. If you don't have enough washers here, you will notice very quickly that when you're trying to secure this bolt in place, that you won't be able to tighten everything or sandwich everything together properly. Just be conscious of this as well. In order to secure this properly now, I'm going to use a 14mm wrench on the other side to hold this nut in place. So the torque spec for this are 50 foot-pound. So you want to make sure that you properly secure it. Okay, so the next step will be to do the kickstand bypass operation here. So I'm gonna take this wire here and just bring it closer to the back. I've already opened the loom. I've already removed all the tape, so it's easy for me to get access to these wires. If you don't have easy access, what I would recommend is that you can simply cut these 2 wires here. There's going to be a blue and white wire, and there's going to be a black wire. So you just cut these 2 wires and fuse them together. So by doing this, by fusing these 2 wires together, you will bypass that kickstand switch. But in my case, as I mentioned earlier, I want to bring these 2 wires towards the back of the bike in the tail, so it's a bit cleaner and narrower here. So I'm going to cut this here. I'm going to solder this around here. So I'm just going to measure, make sure I got the right length here. All right, so I'm going to strip these wires just a little bit here so that I can connect them together. Okay, so now I'm just going to put a bit of foil paper underneath here so that if there's any solder that falls down, it's not going to damage anything. I'm just going to connect the 2 wires together. And before I do so, I almost forgot. We're going to put a shrink tube on top of this as well. So I'm going to use one of these little shrink tube here. I got 2 different sizes. I think that the top one might be the better option, but I'm going to try the small one first. Yeah, that's going to be a bit too tight. So the bigger one it is, so it's going to be this size here of shrink tube. I'm going to just slide this on top. So you can see that the two wires are touching each other. All right, so now we can start the soldering process. I've twisted the wires together here, and we're going to put a bit of solder on it. All right, not the cleanest soldering job, but it's solid, and definitely like it better than just crimping the wires together. So now I can just slide the shrink wrap on top of it, and I'll just take my heating gun and we'll warm this up, and we should be done after that. And for this, I always start in the middle and go towards the outside after that. Just have to be mindful as well of the other cables that are behind it as well. So it's nice and clean. There's nothing that sticks out. So I would say this is done. So what you can do as well to help yourself or help your future self is put a little tag around it with a note that says this is for the kickstand bypass. So for me, I have a label maker. I'm just gonna have a little label that's gonna say kickstand bypass on this, and I'll rewrap everything after that. But obviously, if you're doing it in this area here and tuck it in after that with some tape, you'll know exactly where it is. Alright guys, so that was the process to remove the kickstand from your bike. So just make sure that you have enough washers to replace the thickness of this plate on the kickstand. If you are gonna solder the two wires together, make sure that you have a soldering iron and some solder. That's pretty much it. I mean, the other way as well, as I mentioned earlier, would be to have just a plug. You can find some of these plugs online where people already loop it for you, and you just plug it into the piggy tail that you saw earlier. So that's really an option as well to bypass the switch. Or you can just twist it and put like a twist off cap or like a twist cap on it with some electrical tape on top of it. That could do the trick as well. In my case, again, I'm just going to recover or retape all of this and redo my harness, so I figure I would do it this way. But as long as the two wires are connected together and they are solid, you're good to go. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, please let me know in the comments below. And if that video was helpful, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel or smash that like button. And until next time, stay safe, ride safe, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.